Yo, what's up, guys? Might you think like, oh, is there a choose LD5 event? No, there's not. But what if? What if there was one? There's a lot of people speculating with like the whole 10th anniversary events, like, oh, there's an LD5 on this one. Might there be an LD5 event for December? Well, let me tell you that on the Witcher collab, we had a Leo. And what does Leo have to do with the Witcher collab? Absolutely nothing. So for that reason, no, I don't think so that we would get anything. However, we have to keep in mind that the most interesting pack or the biggest special kind of scroll that we always had was always in December around Christmas. First time we had a Transcendent scroll, Christmas. First time we had an Ancient Transcendent scroll or any kind of upgrades for that, or I think even the Blessing, all was in December. Blessing, I'm not 100% sure, but Ancient Transcendent scroll for sure. So would they be doing something big on this December? I do think so. But of course, it's fun to speculate what if. And this was a Reddit post not made by me, but this gave me the idea of saying like, okay, what would the community like to get as LD5? And if there was a choice of an LD5 event, who would people be choosing? Which unit would people be choosing? And would the game be flooded with one and the same unit? Because it's somewhat obvious, like people like the same units, the Neftis, the Lucifer, the Ragdolls, the Giannas, like those kind of things. A lot of people like those kind of units. So I made a poll about it. And I added in all of the units. And I got a whole bunch of response for that. Thank you guys very much for that. And this video, I'm going to be showcasing those results. Plus, there's going to be another poll, which is even going to be more interesting. But I talk about that later. And it's also the first link in the description as well. But I'll talk about that one later. So first, let's look at the results. And it's very interesting to see Neftis being all the way at the top. Not surprised. Most all-round unit in the game. Definitely not surprised. Can be used in PvE, RTA, Siege, defense things, pretty much everywhere. So that unit is very high up. Lucifer, same thing. Just very all-round of a unit. Ragdoll, still being very high up. Mainly just an RTA unit rather than anything. Maximilian, pretty much an all-round unit as well. Tian Lang still being high up. Han being high up. Sarath, Laura. This one actually kind of surprised me, Talisman, but I would say Talisman is just a really fun unit that does do a lot of damage. So fun to see that this one is that high up. Yan Hong is also surprisingly pretty high up. It's always been a good unit in RTA, but I would say that a Julian, I kind of expected the Julian to be higher than that. Same for like the Julian compared to Han, but I think Han is one of those units that if you already have a few dark LD5s, then a Han just becomes so dominant of being strong, then I'm not surprised about it. Also, good amount of like Sylvias in there, Asimas, Nikis. Gianna is actually surprisingly somewhat on the low side. That's, yeah, I guess she just kind of like, people are less interested in Gianna. Like if you would have asked this question like 4 or 5 years back, Gianna would have been like super high up. Veronica, recent nerf does make sense. Jara actually being here at the 1% already as well. So that is actually pretty interesting to see. And then I just scroll down the list. I will make this thing public. So there's a bunch of votes of also like people going for ISIS. Maybe people just trolling, I don't know. But most of the units did get at least one choice. There are a good amount of like 30-ish units. I think that's about 30. Like the total amount is like 107 units. I did miss Leona. I will add Leona in the next one. But yeah, that's a good amount. But we can really see that the first, let's say, 5-6 units pretty much have like half of the population. The first, yeah, we can actually see that over here. The first 4 units have half of the population, and if we go for the first 10 units, it's like 75% of the population. So it is very much the assumption for Countess that they would say like, yeah, no, that's going to be flooding the game with one and the same LD5, that we probably even have to nerf that one LD5. So we can't really make that probably. At least I don't think it is a right way to go for a choice LD5 event. Might you go like, okay, but what if you do just a free LD5 event and everyone can get an LD5 that's, let's say, maybe just not a dupe? Well, then if you were to get one of those units here at the bottom, let's say you get a Dark Geralt, you're not going to be that happy. You're going to get a Shun, you're not going to be that happy. You're going to get a Maya, you're not going to be that happy. You're going to get a Hanwoo, you're not going to be that happy. So that would make a lot of people unhappy with their pulls. So what could they do to find a middle ground? And I talked about this before on stream, and I do think it is a very good one. Plus, that will also translate into the next pool. What if you get to decide a list of 10 units, because 10th anniversary event, 10 LD5s, but you only pull 1 out of 10. That does mean that if you make your list correct, there's never going to be a unhappy pull because there's for sure 10 good LD5s. But what would be your choice of 10 LD5s that you could choose from? Because I think right here, it's like a lot of the same kind of units. We see a lot of the same units, especially for the first 4 or 5, and then it starts dropping off a bit more. But we can see a lot of Nefties. Like Nefties by itself has more than probably, if we exclude the top 10, Nefties has more than the rest of the whole population together. So that is very like top heavy. But let's see if it's a lot more spread. Like sure, there's going to be, if you would choose 10, then probably everyone who doesn't own a Nefties is going to put Nefties in their top 10. But then again, only 10% of those are actually going to be getting a Nefty. So whereas now 26% would get a Nefties, then it is by maximum, let's say 9%, because let's say 10% already has a Nefties, maybe less. Let's say 5% already has a Nefties. It's only about 9% because 1 in 10 will actually get that Nefties, and therefore you max, or like rather than having 26% of the people getting a Nefties, you only get by max, if let's say everyone chooses a Nefties, 10% of the people getting a Nefty. So you really lower this this top-down level a bit more. Plus, you add in a lot more LDs into the mix because you have to get a lot more choices. So for that, of course, we made one new pool. And this is the what if you choose 10, but you only get 1. It's one of those creating your own box kind of things. The link of this poll will be down in the description. Last poll round, we got an 1100 votes. Thank you guys very much for that. Let's see on this one, we can get even more votes on this one. And this one, if you just fill in all of your units, you have to fill in all the way until 10. You cannot fill in anything less than 10. You cannot fill in anything more than 10. So maybe it's good to write it down on a notepad, like which units you might actually want to go for. And from that one, I'll do some more statistical analysis because the first one, I was more of like, okay, let's see if this idea kind of works. Let's see what people think about it. All the people were pretty enthusiastic, like, yo, which one is the highest up there? I will be hiding the results once again. I will also not be showing my result. Might you ask, say, what was your result for the choice LD5? I choose for a Laura. I think Laura right now is very good on even not just RTA, but also a few places in defense. I think it's getting pretty popular in there, especially in the high ranks like the G3s. See, both Siege not as much, but arena defense, into server defense, those things. Just very good for RTA as well. That's also one of the main things. But I will not be doing my, I will not be showing my result on the top 10 because I don't want to influence you guys, of course. But I will be showing that in the video, and then I'll also do some more statistical analysis, like what are people choosing for and that kind of stuff. Some people were saying like, oh, you should also give like a check mark of if people are like early game or late game, or are they PvE focused or siege focused. Could do, but I think it is in the end just interesting to see what kind of units would people like to go for. And would this be feasible? Let's say that Come To Us maybe doesn't do it this year, but maybe does it in 5 years or 10 years or something like that. That they would be like, okay, if we want to give an LD5, because sure, down the line, at some point, they're going to give a free LD5. It might not be this year, but it might be in 5 years, it might be in 10 years, might be in never, and then, I don't know. At least people can't say, like, I have 3,000 days in and I can't get an LD5. Or maybe you should actually summon scrolls rather than collect days. But that could be one of those logical things, is like where you have that meme, is like, don't bully them with logic. But besides that. Sure, if you pulled a lot of LD scrolls over those 3,000 days and you didn't get it, yep, then it's kind of lucky. But besides the point, sidetrack. This poll is in the description down below. Feel free to share with all of your communities, friends, and all of those kind of good stuff. I'm not too sure when I will be making a video on this poll, but I think I'll just let it run for, let's see just how many votes it gets. I want to get at least 1,000 votes once again. And then afterwards, we'll just see like how far it goes. Probably will be in like a day or two. So I hope you enjoyed this video and this idea with the poll. And you can also, the second link in the description is going to be this list with the results. I will also be closing this poll so you don't get confused which poll is which. The closed one, you can already see the results. The new one, you can't yet. So hope you enjoyed this video and see you as always in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more guides, join the Discord and check out the content tab, which has the dungeon guide archive and the video guide archive, which contains all of the guides that you need. Hope to see you there.